My name's Rosa and this is James and we're at Noth Farm in rural Aberdeenshire.
Tapena Farm is an 8-acre permaculture designed small farm. We've been living here for the past 10 years and we run a small ecologically designed market garden producing vegetables for a weekly veg box scheme. We are registered as a CSA, Community Supported Agriculture scheme. We keep a small herd of dairy goats for our home dairy needs. We've got Shetland sheep, we've got geese grazing amongst our coppices, chickens for their eggs. We've been focusing a lot on agroforestry systems for wood fuel and the biodiversity that trees bring to a site. Most recently we've set up a new enterprise called Tap Retreat, which is an off-grid shepherd's hut where we're hoping to welcome people to come and stay on the farm, create their own retreat and get to see what it's like living and working on a small permaculture farm.
I think the kind of model of CSA is obviously a large part of it is connecting consumer and producer obviously together. It really does kind of build a small community over the years. You know, you build up people's trust and you get more people starting to see what you're doing and interested in essentially investing in you but becoming a member of a farm, you know, and so that's, you know, people really feel, I think, more of a sense of like it's not their farm but that they feel very welcome here and that they can come and see and really learn. I guess having the different forms of media and stuff as well has meant that our members can see really what's going on around the farm as well, and they know that there's a whole cycle of nutrients between all of the different systems through our animals into the garden with the manures and things like that. So there is this connection between everything that people really enjoy to know about and to come and visit the place as well. But yeah, it's just been really lovely as that the CSA being that kind of pulling people in, and there's the food aspect to that, you know, growing this food for our local community, but then them really starting to discover like the methods of growing that food and to connect with that and to realise the seasonality that really comes through with CSA because they see the amount of produce go up and down through the year rather than just remain very kind of static. And I get the impression that our members get quite, I think they feel reasonably connected to the farm, which makes me really happy.
You know, you utilise the crops that maybe aren't good enough to go into the veg box, make their way to our livestock, you know?
Yeah, there's nothing wasted at all, like everything kind of comes back into each other. So yeah, there's no, first of all, the CSA model means that there's less wastage anyway, because if there's a glut, people get that. But then of course you get all of the spare, you know, outer leaves and things like this, which we could put straight in the compost, but we decided to process them through a few different animals before that point. So our animals really luck out with the amount of veg that they get.
If we didn't have the market garden to use the waste from our animals, the manure that the animals produce is so valuable for the market garden itself to bring the fertility back, and that really is that closed loop, that closed cycle from growing some chard. Some chard maybe bolts, so we don't want to put it in the veg box. It gets taken to the goats, that's consumed. Comes out the end of the goat into their bedding. That gets wheelbarrowed to our compost heap where it composts down and gets put back on the veg bed. It's simple stuff, but that's so valuable to us to be able to have that. And we would be able to add that fertility to a home garden. But the market garden, being on a small commercial scale, that just means that we've got really good use for the
volume of it, quite a lot of it, you know, so instead of being a waste product, you know, it's something really, really valuable.
I think our goal with the farm tours is inspiration. It's a great feeling when we get people who come on a tour, especially if they've maybe got their own projects, whether that's a bit of a pipe dream, whether they've actually got themselves a bit of land. What's really great is giving them some examples and the inspiration to go back to their own project, whether that's a back garden or a croft, a large farm, and take something away from what we've been doing here, our mistakes.
Yeah, I was going to say, the learning from our mistakes, because we try loads of different things and some don't go so well, but that's really valuable to try and pass that on just as much as the stuff that does go well, you know. So that's been really nice.
On the whole, we've privately funded everything we've done here. We're not eligible for many of the rural services grants because of our size, because of our acreage. We're 8 acres, or about just over 3 hectares. So we didn't qualify for the small farm startup grant. So it's, you know, being a permaculture designed farm, we're not notoriously a little bit difficult to put in
Can't
in a
put
box.
you in a box, yeah, exactly. There's not many categories that we can.
So that has been difficult, but that also fuels us to make this work a lot more and to prove that we maybe don't always need that support, that we can try and do this off of our own backs. It was why it was necessary to start selling veg in the first place, was as an income stream. You know what, to me regenerative agriculture is quite a new term. Like a lot of people, certainly from our age range, we've kind of grown up with sustainable agriculture being a term, but I can definitely see there are differences obviously between regen ag and that term, and also the fact that sustainable agriculture has probably been slightly greenwashed or used in a greenwashing sense by larger unsustainable organisations.
I mean, the word regenerative has got to be a very positive one. Every part of what's potentially damaging about conventional agriculture and the way that that side of things are going could not be classified as regenerative, you know, so there's almost no doubt about that word being a very positive one to try and hold on to. And I think that, to me, it definitely represents this idea of actually improving rather than just keeping the same. So my kind of background through like conservation and stuff, I do remember kind of holding in my mind for quite a long time that, you know, we were really just, humans were just a scourge on the earth. You know, we're just only doing, you know, as long as we're here, we're only going to damage something. And it was really actually only as I started to discover like permaculture and things like that, that I started to realise that not only can you can do things like shut people out of an area to protect it, but actually maybe even more positive than that is to make sure people can actually tend to and steward something and improve it and try and like just increase biodiversity as much as possible and actually just have that increasingly positive effect using our intelligence for good, you know. And so I see that as the kind of the side of regenerative that speaks to me, because it's that idea that it's positive rather than just like, you know, keeping it the same. It's trying to really like do as best as we can and like improve something and learn about it constantly to learn what improvement even means. So it's going to be like an open book for a long time, I'd imagine, but it's a positive term.
Like your marriage, your relationship with somebody, do you want it to be sustainable, just cruising along kind of at the same level, or do you want it to be regenerative, where you can actually, you know, get better and better with time? I mean, I think for us, what a regenerative aspect is again that focus on looking at what we can produce here on our own piece of land to regenerate into something else, you know, the return of surplus, of taking a waste and regenerating that in a regenerative way. That's going to do as little harm as possible to the rest of the systems on our farm, and as that then spreads out through the community and to the world as a whole. Other times actually we've had to ask, are we having a sometimes negative effect? You know, obviously we are having to cut down trees using chainsaws. We've turned what was a field into a market garden. We've changed an ecosystem, you know, one of the permaculture principles of everything gardens or has an effect on its environment, and we certainly every day have an effect on our environment. Through the development of our forest garden tree rows, we've created perfect habitat for voles.
But also weasels.
Yeah, true. So we've got
nice.
We've got the balance.
Yeah, you start to see, hopefully they can start like getting more of those voles.
All I have to do is look out of our bathroom window and we look over the back of the farm and we see it looks like a forest now. And the amount of wood pigeons and buzzards and kestrels and sparrowhawks, it's fantastic. We don't go a day without seeing some beautiful bird species or insect or butterfly that we don't know what they are.
We've only had the goats since 2018, so like 3 years. Before that, our largest livestock were Shetland cows, and they've played a similar role, of course, like being, the larger livestock, the kind of grazing animal. For us, I think they've been this lovely connection between all of the different systems on the farm. They also are very much part of the agroforestry systems that are being built, you know, in terms of the fact that they really enjoy trees. Of course, people see that as a bit of a potential clash, but what we often say is it actually is more of a driver to like make the systems work as well as possible. You know, you really do have to think about your fencing and stuff, but actually this animal really has a huge connection to the trees. You know, they maybe potentially would damage them if left untended, but actually with certain ways of managing them, they can really be an incredible complement to an agroforestry system. So it's definitely one of the kind of dreamier bits of the day, actually, just being able to walk around with these animals and truly just enjoy watching them eat. And then of course, whilst doing that, thinking about the product that we then get and we enjoy as a household. So we milk the goats and they produce enough milk for us as a household, along with James's mother who lives next door, to have fresh milk. One of the things that I really try, or has kind of evolved for me, for us, you know, in terms of caring for the goats and working with the goats, is trying to give them as much opportunity to look after themselves as possible. You know, there are obviously all different routes you can take in animal care, and for us, it's not exactly a hands-off approach because we're very much like connected with the goats, milking them every day. So you still like, you know, we don't kind of stay away from them, but at the same time, it's nice allowing the goats to actually go and take as much diversity as you can possibly offer them in terms of diet is always going to be a good thing, and they're much less likely to have any issue that you really have to intervene on. Yes, they like to ring bark trees, but if you cut any prunings from any trees or whatever, they'll strip the bark off of that, and that will really help with, for example, parasite load or anything like that. So they really they know how to look after themselves. So the more different products that you can bring from your farm, be that from your garden or if you're pruning any trees, just trying to really think about how many different things you could find to at least present to them if you can't walk them around, for example, and that will really like ensure as good a health of your goats as possible.
You used to always say that if your ideal, after coming out of studying zoology, your ideal job would have been able to just sit and watch animals all day.
That's all I wanted to do, was just be able to like observe animals and that. And I was like, what job is that? How can I do that? And then I've got it now without realizing, so that's good. There was a couple that found us just earlier this year, and they ended up coming on a tour, and they really had just discovered us almost by accident, but that took them on a journey. They went from reasonably unassociated jobs, as it was, to actually deciding to start a market garden and trying to learn a bit more about living off the land. And it was just lovely to see the kind of joy in this like discovery of something, and just suddenly all these little fireworks going off in their head as they walked around and saw this way of living that with their young family and things that they really saw as a kind of potential way of life. People just saying like, oh, I've just felt now I have that confidence to take that step because we've had a chat about something, or they've come here and seen that, you know, certain things that they might have not felt too confident to really like jump into seem a little bit more possible, which is just all you can ask for, to like try and just start like push people a little bit, and then they start that journey.
My goal for this is that it will mimic a forest with small clearings for horticulture and small clearings for livestock keeping, where we can still get the benefits and joy that comes from living in a woodland. I would also love to see it being passed down to the next generation, whether that's our children and my daughter, and to know that we're putting something in place for them to then take on, hopefully, or if it doesn't go into family, that it goes to someone who wants to carry on with the work that we've been doing here. And I would like to see it carrying on as a place of inspiration for more people. We want to be part of the permaculture movement in the UK. It's something that we're very passionate about, and so it's nice to be part of the solution.